What is good, ladies and gents? Let's see how many sabotages we get on this one. We've got a stupid box to carry as well, which is kind of a little bit annoying. So how I'm gonna manage to juggle all of this, I don't know. A box under my arm and a stick under the other side. Well, I hope you are all doing well and everything is going well for you. What's going on here? Slightly better. So, no idea how the audio will come out on this, whether it's just going to ruin it again and whatever, we'll see, and persist and try anyway. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, has the world got crazier since the last video? I'll leave that up to you to decide whether you think it has or not. We carry on regardless, looking at the season, looking at the signs, seeing it all, and waiting and waiting and waiting. Certainly not the first one to wait, and could possibly not be the last, so we will see. We will see. So the plants are all going okay. I've had fairly successful germination. About, I don't know, 70% has popped. I don't think any of the rest of them are going to. I think they've all died. I was watching this like a video of how to germinate really old seeds, and it's not too difficult actually. They like to keep a little bit of secret. I don't know why, but keep their secrets to themselves if they want to. But basically, very weak H2O2, so hydrogen peroxide. So very weak, probably about 2%. So weak hydrogen peroxide, and glucose, like the syrup. And you can get both of those things very cheaply. And basically what you do is you put a tiny amount of glucose in the water, which is the sugar. The H2O2 oxygenates the water, which is the oxygen. You leave it in it to soak for like the normal standard time that you see people soaking a seed to germinate it. And then what will happen is the H2O2 should have cleared away all of the crap on it, and the glucose re-establishes the shell, which is kind of over time got dry and it's lost all of its like proteins and oils and everything, but it's still alive. But it would need that to germinate, so that kind of refreshes that. Anyway, there's a runner coming in a bit. I can't really pick it up. There's a deer running around in there. Anyway, so yeah, it soaks up the glucose and uses it as a nutrient, and the hydrogen peroxide kills off any parasites and bacteria and fungi and all of that stuff that might be growing on it. So obviously that's for a really old seed, so not necessary for not very old seeds. But one of the things that piqued my interest was the fact that germination fails because of fungus and bacteria and disease that lives in the soil, and it basically infects the seed before it has a chance to germinate. So I was like, well, if I use a weak solution of hydrogen peroxide and water them with it, that will help to allow them to germinate without getting infected. So possibly the reason why it was about 70% rather than like 50%. Possible, I don't know, it's not a scientific experiment, it was just, I did it and that's what happened. It just stands to logical reason that that's what would happen. would kind of clean the soil, if you will. Obviously, if you were to do that later on, you'd kill any beneficial fungus and bacteria and stuff that's in the soil when you want them, when the plant is actually able to connect with them and use them. Like anything, it will grow back. You can't kill life, it will persist. So I hope that all your guys' grows are going well, and anyone who is growing this season, wish you all the very best of luck. Can't tell you that shit's not going to get crazier yet, but even still, we'll see between this one and the next one as to how much more crazy it gets. So, most of the time, I don't really know what to say, to be honest with you. I don't have any. The Lord does not tell me to tell you anything. This is quite literally just the ramblings of a madman and exhaust pipe with the back box of it randomly. Whatever. It's a strange thing to appear there. Maybe someone was carrying it. Maybe it fell off a plane. Who knows? I mean, in all fairness, half the time we feel like quitting, not bothering to come back. It's like, kind of, what is the point, really? What is the point? I think, obviously, anyone who has listened to any of this stuff over the years that I've been doing it, don't know what impression you have of me or how you think things are. But I live a very somewhat of a painful existence, but such it is. It's my portion, and I accept it, and it is well with my soul. But doesn't mean that it's easy or happy or joyful or anything like that. So I generally find that things fail in my hands. Things that I would like to happen don't happen. There's lots of things to be thankful for, don't get me wrong. I'm still breathing, my heart is still beating. The Lord hasn't sent men upon me to destroy me, and all of that is mine as of yet. But still a possibility. All things are possible with the Lord. It's it's silly to think that it's like, okay, let me make a bit more sense. Okay, so I was reading Samuel and 2 Samuel to have an understanding, or seek the understanding of the Lord actually speaking to you. In all cases where the Lord speaks, it's audible. It's like you can hear it, like you can hear my voice. It's not a whisper in your head. It is an audible voice of the Lord, and you'll know it's the Lord, as everyone who has. Now, I am aware that they have some technology where they have discovered how to reverberate bones in your skull at certain pitches and frequencies, where they can audibly place words seemingly into your mind. It's reverberations of sound and frequencies that's doing it. So, they might want to pull that one out at some point and, do over a whole heap of people into thinking that the Lord's speaking, and apparently they've used this before, but, like I said, you're listening to the ramblings of a madman in the wilderness. You're not listening to whatever. You have to seek and you'll find. You'll see it yourself if you go and look. Careful what you look at, because you can't unsee it once you've seen it. And some things you're probably best not seeing. But anyway, so in Samuel, the Lord speaks to Samuel, and Samuel is in his bed. He's asleep, and he hears, "Samuel, Samuel." And he wakes up and he goes, "Yes, master." And he goes to his master's room and says, "Yes, master, you called me." And his master says, "Silly boy, I'm asleep. Why would I have called you? Go back to bed." Goes back to bed, falls back to sleep. Again he hears, "Samuel, Samuel." Samuel gets up and says, "Yes, master." Comes back in the room, slightly more annoyed, I guess, and goes, "Master, you called me again." His master says, "I haven't called you. It's late, go back to bed." He returns, and the third time, "Samuel, Samuel." He gets up and says, "Master." Goes to his chamber and says, "You have called me 3 times, master." And his master, who was the high priest, who the Lord had not spoken to, perceived that the Lord was speaking to Samuel. And from that point on, for the entirety of Samuel's life, God conversed with him, unlike any other person. So I'll make some assumptions which makes an ass of you and me that this is only for very select people that the Lord has chosen before ahead of time, and all of that stuff is only for them. And I am, like, I guess the 99, not going to be one of those people until I see him, when we all will see him and we stand before him at the day of judgment. There'll be no doubts in anyone's mind at that time, just terror, I guess. But anyway, and then I thought to myself, well, what about Job, or Job? What about this man? This man had the Lord let Satan take him and do all sorts of wondrous things to him. And the purpose, well, not the purpose, the thing of lesson of Job was one of, it's foolish to think that the Lord giving you substance in the land, whatever that may be to you, but gives you substance in the land and makes you mighty, puts you in positions of power and authority and things like this. Because if the Lord only does that to the ones that he loves, then how are the wicked in such high powers and positions if he doesn't treat everyone the same? And all of these things, in a way, are kind of like a rope that's you've had tied around your neck, and you've always been given the option to take it off your neck, but instead he just keeps reeling the rope out until it's the point that you hang on your rope that you and your will chose to continue to draw out. Obviously I am a foolish man. He knows very, very little, in fact nothing, and it is not my place to speak on the Lord's behalf, because I'm going to stand in front of him and he will say, "Are you dared to speak in my behalf when I told you nothing?" It wouldn't be clever, anyway. So with this understanding, I guess it's helped in the way of knowing that I'm going to put this, most people will probably say to you, if you come to Jesus, everything will be wonderful and you'll be happy and you'll have all these things and it will be lovely and great and brilliant. And then it doesn't happen, and then you go, well, it's not happened, so I must have to turn away from this. But he very clearly tells you that it's not the rich and the powerful who are blessed. In fact, they've already received their portion. And he hoped that they enjoyed it, because for them there is nothing after. They already received it. So he says, those who are poor and suffer, those who have little, those ones who have had all of the things stolen from them by this evil, he'll restore it to them. But he didn't say he would restore it to you whilst your body was alive. He said it to you, he would restore it when you accept eternal life. And until then, just as the world hated him, so too will the world hate you. Because if they love you, how can you be part of me? Because the world rejected me, and they'll reject you too. So, it is what it is. I mean, to be honest with you, if you have got this far and you're listening to this, you are one of very few people who listen to anything I have to say, and in all fairness and honesty, I have not ever met you in person, so I guess it brings me happiness to know that maybe this might help someone, but at the same time it's a lonely walk, but I chose the path of the Nazarite for the things that I've done, and that the earth might and its inhabitants look at me sound like I'm some, I don't know, debased hippie of some description, and cast judgment at me and look at me in whatever way that it is that they choose. But it's the path I took, and it's one of solitariness, I guess. He says that you are singled out, and that's the way it is. It would be foolish to stop. Just like he said, anyone who sets about going and building, wants to build a massive giant house, and they think, yeah, I'm going to just go and do it, and they start on the journey, but they never took a calculation of the cost, and upon starting and getting to about the halfway point, they had to give up because they didn't have the resources and the things that they needed in order to finish what it is that they're building. So be careful what it is that you start, or anything that you vow and promise, because a fool's reward is what he'll give you for not listening. It's in any state and in any case, the world is getting ever so more crazy, but as far as I'm aware, it is what he said was going to happen. Now the sun's come out and it's looking beautiful. This is something else. I mean, what you take from the understanding that I've figured out along the way is up to you, and it might be the same thing that you already know, or it might be something that you're missing that could help you. But the way I have come to understand this is in the parables of the shepherd and his sheep. So you could imagine there's an entire field full of sheep. And the shepherd is watching over the sheep, and in so watching over the sheep, he has let's say decided, because it's not the right word, but he's watching over the sheep, and the sheep in the field have to make a decision of what it is that they are going to do in this field. And watching the sheep and what they do, and how they act, he has if you will, a pen. And should any of the sheep wish to come into his pen, they'll be safe and they'll be protected. But if they choose to remain outside of the pen, then it's their decision and whatever. Now, the sheep are all just sheep. They're just going about being sheep like they are. And some of the sheep, they go over to this hedged area and they walk into it and they're offered protection. And the rest of the sheep being outside just carry on being sheep. Now, all of the sheep still have to live. And they have to live out their entire days. Just because they've walked into this hedge area where there's some protection, they're not dead, so they still have to live out their days. And so too is it like this, that you come to find the Lord, and the Lord opens your eyes and ears, and you start to be able to see and hear and have understanding, because you can only get this if the Lord does it. It's all things is the Lord's will. The understanding of why is only known to the one who could create all of this, and there will be a purpose and a reason, and it will make perfect sense, and no one will be able to argue with why, because it will be a perfect explanation, and the understanding will be known. So those sheep in that hedge, he then says, I'm going to remove this hedge from you, and you're going to be back in the field with all the other sheep to wander around. Then comes the question of, because you're now wandering around back in the same place that you were before, do you now give up on the Lord or the shepherd and say the shepherd does no longer care for me? Oh, I think I've made an absolute mess of that, but anyway. So we just carry on and watch the craziness. So here's something that will probably damage. Yeah, so for a very long time now, for a couple of decades now I guess, people have been aware of the UN, or the United Nations. They have been aware of the United Nations agendas, and those agendas culminated into two finalised documents. One is called Agenda 21 and the other one is called Agenda 2030. I've seen a lot of people read this and point out things that are within it and go over these two documents and say, this doesn't really look great for everyone. Now, in 2019 at the end, they initiated the go or green light for Agenda 21. What was Agenda 21? It's already passed now. They've already succeeded. It's too late, I'm afraid. All of these things will come to pass. Doesn't matter how much you want to kick and scream against it. All your protests will do nothing. All your kicking and screaming will do nothing. It will come to pass. So Agenda 21 was to take over control and authority at a local level and input their tentacles, if you will, within all of the local governments around the world. They did that by the means of COVID-19. Whilst everyone was arguing and stopping what they were doing and then saying, oh, it's this, it's that, it's not real, it's real, it's not real, it's real, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, no, yes, no. That's what we've seen over the last couple of years. All whilst failing to realise that the agenda is Agenda 21, to take over control of local governments at a local level, to seize control, to take your power from me. When everyone said I'm going home and I'm not going to come back out, the government took their power and their freedom from them. When they put masks on and they went about it, the government took their freedom and succeeded in Agenda 21. Agenda 21 was also the largest wealth transfer in living memory. 1% took vast swathes of money. That's local businesses all shut down, and they became the only ones to really be able to retail anything. Now the aftermath and the realization of wealth transfer is coming into reality as businesses now realize, shit, I'm not going to be able to start back up again. People losing their houses, food banks in record numbers. I think the Lord said something about famines, but no one wants to listen. Pestilence, no one wants to listen. But anyway, nonetheless, the wealth transfer took place. Now we have people clapping like seals, which they also got them to do with the NHS that they fully intended to destroy. I think I mentioned that they did the same thing to the military back in the Afghan war, where they were like, clap for our heroes, our brave boys are going overseas to fight the evil of the world, they're going to come back. Yeah, and what happened to them when they returned? They were spat on and treated like murderers who had gone to another country and just raped and killed. So yeah, what's now happening to the NHS? Obviously in the regards of the NHS and not the military, in their own fashion. So obviously the NHS is completely collapsing, fully intended. So now they have taken this control. They can now quite literally, they have put the policies in place to say we can now do this. And people have agreed that they can do this. They just broke fucking like all of the laws and no one cared. Some people did care, but you know, they were on a hiding to nowhere because as I mentioned, like, it doesn't matter what you do. this is all going to come to pass. So, we now are in 2022. We've passed Agenda 21. It was a huge success, yet no one realised it. Now, fuck me. Okay, right, so these people who transferred the wealth, okay, they all were all over, everywhere, saying like, new multi-billionaires, the new top 10 rich list. Yeah, well, everyone who was on that list was part of the people who jacked everything. So you can understand my confusion somewhat when people are like, Elon Musk is a great guy. He's going to protect free speech. He's going to take Twitter back for us all. Well. Did he profit in this at all? Did he? No? No one? No one? Okay, fine, just me. The insane one. Fucking hell. Soaking too much. Striding up a hill rather than, I don't know, being more slow. So, we roll on to Agenda 2030. What's Agenda 2030? Well, Agenda 2030 is the rise of the one world government and the man of perdition who will preside over it. And I'll just point a couple of things out. Okay. People have been saying, oh, this injection is the mark of the beast. This microchip, it's the mark of the beast. Okay. Do you honestly... the Lord removes his protection from the earth that this man and the dragon might overcome the remaining saints that are left on the world and kill them like the other saints have been killed, i.e. they've been burnt and had their heads cut off. They've been massacred, they've been drowned, they've been, a whole bunch of shit that's happened to the saints in the past, because you can't become a saint unless you die for the Lord. None of your acts can do anything. It is your death in confession of the Lord, and I will never deny it. That's what makes you a saint, nothing else. So, what's happening now? Well, we're seeing all of it. If you're paying any form of attention whatsoever, you'll see that the World Economic Forum has seized control of all of the cabinets of the world, openly admitted by their CEO and managing director, Mr. Schwab. He doesn't care. It's either that or he doesn't realise that technology can keep up and record stuff from past and then it can be played in the future, or he just doesn't give a shit and it's like, it's fine now. You can all go F yourself. Is he the man of perdition? I don't know. What I do know is that the man of perdition, he's called the man of perdition because he precedes Christ, the lawless one. So whoever comes first claiming and the whole world starts worshipping, you can guarantee that one there is the man who precedes the one who's coming after, i.e. the Lord. We see them holding the world government meeting in Dubai. It's got big letters up there saying world government, but it would appear no one wants to notice this. But instead they want to, I guess, just ignore it or pretend it's something else, or go and look at, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, who, that's neither of that is their real names. They're both actors acting in court to distract you. And now it's, Dave Chappelle got attacked by a guy on stage. You're gonna fucking waste your time watching and looking at all of this dick shit that they continuously pump out. It's your choice. And again, I'm not speaking directly to you on the other side of the screen. It's my shit ability with English. I'm not accusing you of anything. You probably are more than already aware of it. I'm kind of surmising that if you're watching something like this, then your eyes and ears are probably open, and you are aware of some stuff. And I think if from listening to anyone speak on the Lord, it always kind of makes me feel like I've not got what they have got, or they've got more than me, and because they've got more than me, they'll be okay, but I need something else in order to be like how they are, if you will. Well, I have nothing more than you have. I don't have anything more. I haven't been given anything. He opened my eyes and my ears that I might be able to see, because I searched and I looked. And if you look, you'll find. And in that, he's persisted in not allowing this to leave me. And I've thought, well, would I want it to leave? Would I not want it to leave? And what I mean by that is, would I like to forget everything and go back to how I was? Or am I happy with this now found information that kind of changes my entire life and perspective on things? That's it. It's not like I don't have more than you. I just have that, and I listened and I was baptized, and I have then been like one of those sheep wandering around in the fields waiting for my time to come, and knowing that I'll stand in front of the Lord and answer for all of my accounts of my life. So that's what I know, and that's all I know. So I don't think I'm anything special or anything like that. Really not. But nonetheless, Agenda 2030 is going to persist. I've heard a lot of things and been deceived by many along the way, and then found out that that's not quite the truth, what they're saying, and it's a twisting of it, and not actually how things are. And people will say something, because you have to read the fullness of it. I mean, you can't stop. You begin that first word in, and it doesn't stop till amen. So, and if you don't, you can be deceived along the way, because when someone comes along and they say something to like, oh, this is what it says here, this is where everything's wrong because people aren't doing this, and you're like, oh, I believe that because I read that bit, but a chapter later it tells you that that's wrong thinking, and that's the thinking of a fool. So, like, you have, and it's you. It's well, not you on the other side of the screen, but it's people. Like, in general, it's like, oh, I know what it says in there, but haven't actually read it to see. It's like, honestly, I guess in my head I had a perception of what it would be to read it, and then when I read it, I was like, yeah, that's nothing like what my perception was of this. This is entirely different. What the actual hell is going on in those buildings of the church? Because what's in here and what they're doing are very different things. The understanding that's in here doesn't appear to be the understanding that they have there. Like, as in what the actual hell has happened. Like, that, it doesn't match at all. But anyway, I was baptised nonetheless in the Church of England church, because, I mean, well, the Lord was baptised. He went to the River Jordan, and John the Baptist baptised him. I think he thought it was important. Lots of people were arguing, it's not important, he forgave the thief on the cross beside him. He was there at that time to give him forgiveness. He was still upon the earth, or his body was still alive upon the earth. His vessel that he used, like the vessels we are in, we're pilots. We're piloting our spacesuit. This is your spacesuit. You've got one, I've got one. It comes in all sorts of different shapes and colours and sizes. It's your ability to interact with this here. And he had one, and he called it Jesus. Everyone hates that name. No, it's Yeshua. No, it's this. Why do you think the Lord is feeble to not be able to protect his own name? If you, like, and I'll give it to you this way, if you say Jesus Christ, what's the very first thing that comes into your head? If I say Yeshua, what's the very first thing that comes into your head? If I say Emmanuel, what is the very first thing that comes into your head? Now, if I walked around and I said, oh, Yeshua loves you, they'd be like, who's Yeshua? But if I said Jesus loves you, then they'd be like, oh, the man who died on the cross. Oh, that guy. And then mock him in whatever way. It's like, I don't know how to put it. He loves you for the time that you're alive, and if you haven't confessed him, then he's gonna beat the fuck out of you. Just saying. you get to speak to him yourself and make your own account. Oh, everyone will. Anyone who is in flesh will see this day. See it coming. I wait patiently on the Lord, and His will is His will, and if I am to suffer out all of my days, then I will suffer out all of my days in gladness and tidings that I knew to say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And I'll walk my walk in that way until my last breath is drawn, be that by my head being removed because I get to see the man of perdition arrive, or be that I die in any of the other 6 million ways that there is. It just is how it is. It's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like, once you know how to walk, would you like to forget how to walk? Would you say to yourself, walking has become such a burden to me that I wish I was unable to walk and that I could return to being a baby? It's basically like that. It's like, I would like to not know any of this so I can go back to being like damned. And it's like, okay, anyway, like I said, ramblings of a madman in the wild, just a fool out here talking. And I grow my weed and I play some music that has something in it, more than just nothing, in a hope that someone will listen, or anyone, anywhere, it helps. I just very much hope that it doesn't do the exact opposite, and that the crap that I'm saying is like gonna mess me up in some other way. But anyway, so we are nearly at the stage to start going and dropping all the little seedlings out, and it's hopefully be a fairly fast process. I had the drill way up too powerful, like properly up too powerful. I've turned it down so much, and it's real easy to use. Basically, the drill has an electronic clutch on it, so it doesn't go every time it stops, can't do it. What it does instead is it just shuts the motor off, so it just goes and it doesn't make that sound, which is what I was after because of the silence of it. That it wouldn't, like, someone wouldn't hear it and go, oh, I know that sounds like a drill. They'd hear it and probably go, that's a weird sound, I've not heard anything like that before. Is that a drone, or is that a car, or what is that? So they wouldn't, I don't think someone would initially think, oh, that sounds like a drill, because it doesn't go all the time. So yeah, now having turned the power way down, like I had it up at like setting of, I don't know, like 30 odd, like right up at its top limits. And I've turned it all the way down to like 15, and it works like a million times better. It doesn't like do any of that crap where it's like wrenching my wrists around and any of that stuff. It just nicely works, and I'll obviously when we get to that stage I should hopefully be able to video it. That last video, the one where I was like land for grow, that might have seemed all messed up and like all cut to pieces and like what the hell it was that. The problem was that I had loads and loads of footage on there of me. I didn't realise the camera can capture so much, so like there was like full like descriptive things that you could see of me, so I wasn't exactly going to put that on there, so that then caused me to have to like hack the crap out of it. Then it didn't make sense, then I had to kind of hack it some more and put it in some weird ass fashion. So the only reason that it was weird is because I had filmed myself like way too much, and like I said, this is I'm not seeking fame and fortune. Like if I wanted fame and fortune, you'd see my face on here going, look at me, but I'm not accusing anyone who does it. Like if you want to do it, that's your do. I'm doing this like this because this is how I do the do. So there's no accusations. If you say, please subscribe, please like my videos, please comment, please like look at my face, I thought like it's you do you. Your business is all your business and mine is my own, and if you're watching, then just mad respect to you for watching. I don't really ever know how many people actually get this far in the video. I would assume that most people only listen to the first little bit and then go, yep. But I have noticed that from growing the acacias this year, rather than the ganja that I would normally grow, YouTube has decided that they're not going to say my videos are adulterating. Not yet anyway, but they are still small and they do look very much like an acacia. Like, I don't think its auto recognition is that good, or they haven't loaded in little pictures of it, and I think they might have then some problems because lots of little seedlings do look very, very similar to each other, of which acacias have a natural 7-leaf pattern. They grow into a tree and they look very similar. Or acers, even not acacias. Acers. So yeah, beautiful acers this year. I don't know, I mean they're a strange variety, so we'll see what they turn out like. It seems like it's snail day. Ah, you survived. Just by a hair of your shell. Well, slugs and snails, they're malicious. It will not change my mind. I've seen too many times them just come along, nibble the stem, topple the whole thing over, and then go on their merry way. It's like, why did you do that? You could have at least eaten it. Like, at least then it would have been useful, but purposely have just chewed the stem right there, decapitated it, it's left there dead, and you've gone off. Like, the actual hell. So they're calculating. They know what they're doing. It knew what it was doing. If I nibble here, I don't have to eat the rest of it. But yet the other ones will come along and eat the top. It's like, nice. Cheers for that. But they're just being what they're being, I guess. They are a slug and they are a snail. They slime around the place. They get eaten by just about everything that can eat them. And people poison them all the time. And yeah. They're a slug. Yeah. Ramblings of a madman. The ramblings of a madman. I am getting closer though to thinking I actually am insane. Like, I think I actually might be actually insane. Like the things that I believe and can see and touch and feel, and the things that I say and do are like always wrong and never right. And yeah, it's a vicious circle to be in where you're like, do this, it's wrong. Do this, it's wrong. Okay. Do this, right, that's wrong. Okay, can I actually ever do this right? No, you fucking can't do this right. Right, okay, so do this, it's wrong. Right, okay. How do I do it right? You can't, because it's always wrong. What part do you not understand? Now do this, it's wrong. Yes, I know it's wrong because you just told me, but you're wrong in that thinking also. So, it's magical. Magical, magical, magical. It is what it is. Thankfully it's not rained. I thought it was going to like smash it down. I still don't know what the audio outcome of this is going to be, and how much of this has been trashed, and how much can be heard, and how screwed up the video is and such. So go at like 40 minutes or whatever. Yeah, I mean we'll do it differently this year, because obviously we're using the drill and not digging massive holes, and I just can't do it. My back's screwed, and I need to try and preserve it as best as I can for as long as I can before I guess the inevitable happens. My back finally gives up. So take it easy and slowly and drag it out a bit more before that time comes. So eventually it comes to all of us, be that like I said, via old age and the clouding of your eyes and the sagging of your skin and the slowing of your breath and heart, until the day that it's all lost. So there's no way to escape, my friends. There is no way. Aside from there was two. I say that there was two who escaped this without seeing death, though technically one did see death. So Enoch, he was taken because Enoch wasn't. Enoch wasn't because the Lord took him, and Elijah. But Jesus said that John the Baptist was Elijah. So, and he had his head chopped off. So, if that was the return of Elijah to see death, then that was Elijah who died. So, though he escaped on the chariot and didn't see death, he did eventually see it by returning as John the Baptist. So, Enoch being the only one, I guess. Which would be interesting to see, because Enoch's very interesting. He knew the Lord above all others. He knew the Lord above all others so much that he was given the crown and the title Metatron, which means the young one, the youngest of all of the sons of God. And he was given the power to reside on, I believe it was the 6th or 7th layer of heaven, where he presides over to this day. And the Lord poured out the books of knowledge on him, and that's what caused him to become his new title of Metatron. But I don't know whether any of you have heard that name before. Sounds a bit like a Transformer or something like that, right? But you have to ask yourself where they draw those names from in the first place. Because that name was long before Transformers, I'm afraid, or any of that general jazz. Ramblings of a madman. Anyway, we'll carry on, and obviously I keep these videos kind of separate, where it's just me randomly walking and talking my general gibberish. And just mad respect to anyone who watches, really. If you, like I said on the last one, if you want to support this channel, you're already doing it. You're doing everything you need to right now. You don't need to give me anything. You don't need to send me anything. You don't need to do anything. All we need to do is just, I guess, listen and find something useful about it. Or not, as the case may be in some instances. But yeah, there's some interesting stuff that's going to happen, so keep your eyes out, and if you're reading you'll see what I mean. It's probably like the last thing. I'll end on this just to give some kind of perspective of potentially twistings of history, because should you read Revelation, it would appear to be one event after the other, 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 or it's been somehow mixed around, because it's like, well, if that's happened, well, when did that happen, and so on and so forth. So the Mayflower, the steam vessel that took the first settlers to the Americas, the Pilgrims, if you will. Well, from that time of that vessel, that ship, leaving port and arriving in the Americas to this very day today is not 500 years. So, you know, the cowboys and Indians, the gold panning, the horse and coaches, all of that stuff. The steam engine first coming in, highway robberies, train robberies, all of this stuff. Wild West, cowboys and Indians, to today with mobile phones, satellites, though whatever the fuck they are, that's not what they are, but anyway, leave that for another time. Computers, internet, cars, all of this stuff, that's less than 500 years. So is this amazing that no one in the entire world was able to do this until now? Or is this just a repeat of stuff that's happened before? Now, there's a fairly interesting movie. It's fucking terrible, really. The concept of it's insane, but anyway, it's called Immortal Engines. And in the beginning of the Immortal Engines, it says, "The ancients took mere seconds to wipe themselves out. Now all of the cities and towns have mobilized themselves on tracks and now drive around the place." So your town now is on tracks and you drive it around like a tank. Nice, okay, sweet. And now this is the rise of the hunter cities of London that comes to destroy. And the whole premises of the film is that they're trying to reinstate the old technologies, but they don't know how because they don't have the understanding to get it to that level. But they've jerry-rigged their own way to it. And what I mean by that is, when you see some of the things that are kind of depicted in ye olden times, in stones that are ancient, that no man can even really quantify how they got there or whatever, they depict certain things that would say that they've done this before. That though their technology was different to ours, we've just kind of jerry-rigged up a similar thing. And we're able to do this in around about 400 or 500 years. It's not very many people's life generations, you see. Now, if a major event was to occur, let's say, for example, electricity was removed from the world and we were no longer able to generate electricity, what would we do? We would have to go back to the old-fashioned ways and start again. And there's a very interesting couple of tablets called the Tablets of Thoth that was found in the top of one of the pyramids of Giza. It's called Emerald Tablets because it looks like it's made of emerald. Problem is, the substance that it is made out of is indestructible. I kid you not. They have tried to break them. They cannot. They have looked at them and they are what is called atomically stable, meaning they don't move. They are completely still and they will not be and cannot be moved. And it's the most insane substance that these tablets are made out of. They are indestructible. Think that they're not real. They don't exist, he's just made that shit up. Yeah, well, the Grand Masters at the lodge in London, the Masonic Lodge in London, they don't think that they're fake because they possess them. You can find translations of them, but you won't find the translation of the last tablet because that's specifically only for the Freemasons, and only they are allowed to see what that says. The premise of those tablets is, God flooded the earth, it put me back a lot. I now have to work to get myself back to where I was before. So, I would say we've probably done this a few times, and every time something happens, I guess they indoctrinate people. Okay, how have I come to this conclusion? Well, there was 3 in the garden. 2 of them ate the knowledge of good and evil and would surely die. 1 of them did not, and in so not doing, did not die, but yet remained here with us, having been ejected from the garden. Now, if you could imagine for a second being immortal here with people that you fucking hate with a passion, and you know that you can't die, but they can, what would you do? Would you set up something and then confuse them all the time, trick them into thinking something that's not, so that you can quite literally turn them into your very own food to eat and consume? Literally consuming souls of people. Yeah. Anyway, he's not left here. He's been here with us. And if you wanted to go and find him, I'm sure you could, but I very much doubt that you would like it. Because many people have said that they sold their soul to him for things of this earth. Some of them even say that they've been and seen him, and they say it's pure terror. There's devoid of anything good. Be that scary stories and ghost stories or whatever, but if I am to believe this, then I am to believe that he is also here with us, and he's a very real and very fucking dangerous adversary who is slippery and slimy and scheming, because he is a liar and he is a murderer from the beginning. And just to make it that little bit more fun, he can appear like an angel of light. and he does so and deceives many. A very real and present adversary. And his time is coming, and his time is short, and I guess he must have found some joy in it. And when I was like kind of looking at Job earlier, when the Lord says to Satan, well, I'll give you over him. He's in your power. Like, just don't harm him. Then secondly, don't kill him. But you'll see, he'll never deny me. Even when you do all of this stuff, he will not deny me. He will still say that all things are all things in the Lord's hand, and the Lord's will is the Lord's will, and that he accepts it. Though obviously he was in some folly because he didn't glorify God, and instead he glorified himself and said he was righteous and that he had done all of these things. It is God who does righteous things through men. It's the Lord's will. And in that I was thinking, well, isn't this like more damnation unto Satan, like just more things against him? Because the Lord has told him Job is a good, righteous and honourable man who will never deny me. And Satan has gone, we'll see about that, which is to say, I don't believe you. I know better than you, if you see what I mean. So it was also, I'm just going clutching at straws, you know what I mean? Like, until the Lord says to me, you're wrong, this is what I actually meant, then how can I ever know? Can't. It is not possible. Anyway, I think I will probably leave it there, and if you got to the end and you could stomach it, then mad respect to you, and even if you didn't, mad respect to you, because, well, you bothered to come along. So, anyway, it's UKFN Ninja. I'll see you all on the next one.